Many of the code segments you write, such as assigning a value to a variable or displaying a message box, will just need to run one time. If you work with arrays or cell ranges, though, you might need to repeat a segment several times. The easiest way to repeat code in Excel VBA is to create a for next loop. So let's go back to this example here where I have a set of shipping charges. We have the maximum weight in pounds and then the cost in dollars here. And I'll show you the code that I'll use to work with them by pressing Alt F11 to go to the Visual Basic Editor. What this code does is activate cell B3, and then using the for next loop, it starts at the value of 0, counts through to 5, and draws values from the worksheet and puts them into the array. In this subroutine, I have two for next loops. The first one reads values from the worksheet and puts them into an array, and the second steps through the array and prints out each of the values. If I run the routine by pressing F5, it displays the first value, which is 10. The next is 20, 30, 40, 45, and 50. Even though my for next loop is numbered from 0 to 5, so it will repeat 6 times, you don't need to hit every number when you're going through. Instead, you can use the step keyword and assign the increment that you want for the value. So for example, if we start out with the number 0, going to 5, but at step 2, then the first value would be 0, the second would be 2, the third would be 4, and then the maximum is 5, so we won't get to the next value of 6. Let's see how that looks when I run the code. Pressing F5, the first value is 10. That's normal. You always start on the first value. The next is 30. That's the third value, but again, that's numbered as number 2 within the array because array numbering starts at 0. 45, the fifth element, and then the code ends. You can also go backwards using a step with a negative number, but to do that, you need to make sure that your counter variable goes from a high to a low as opposed from 0 to 5 here. If I went from 5 to 0 with a step of -2 and ran the code, then we start at the highest element, that's number 5. Okay, we go to 40, the fourth element, 20, the second element, and we're done. For next loops let you repeat your code a specific number of times, with the number of repetitions controlled either by specifying the number of steps in the initial for statement or through a variable. You can also skip values using the step keyword, which lets you examine a subset of the values stored in a range.